The past few months, my YouTube feed, and I'm sure yours too, has been flooded with videos proclaiming how profitable you can be if you start selling AI art on Etsy. You've seen the thumbnails. Stunned faces next to a product and then a ridiculously high dollar amount. The bigger and more specific the amount, the better. Well, as you might have guessed it, it's all nonsense. Do not waste your time trying to replicate what these videos suggest. Let's talk about it. Just to clarify, opening up a store on Etsy is a perfectly fine idea. It's an extremely competitive field, but it's an area that has some earning potential. Selling AI art, on the other hand, is a really bad idea. The low barrier of entry make it a very competitive field. And on top of that, AI Etsy products have insanely low profit margins. It's the combo you don't want your product to have. The reason these videos exist is because of, you guessed it, views. We're going to go through the kind of AdSense money these channels get, but before we do that, let's see why selling AI art is such a bad idea. This is one of the main arguments these videos use to hook the audience. Look at how much money you could earn if you play your cards just right. They will usually show one or two of the top earners of a specific category, but they will conveniently fail to mention how big the gap between the top earning stores and any other regular store is. It's the equivalent of me showing you a picture of Warren Buffett and telling you that you could potentially earn Warren Buffett levels of money. Could it be done? I guess, but yeah, let's be realistic. Let's take as an example this shop here. It's one of the sellers most of these videos point to. It's one of the few shops that actually mention that their artwork is produced with AI, and as you can see, the shop has an incredible amount of sales. More than 700,000. That is an insane amount of money, but this shop is the exception and not the rule. If we check any other shop, you will notice the disparity. Dozens of sales compared to hundreds of thousands of sales. But the main thing these videos fail to mention is how incredibly saturated the AI market is. The chances of your store standing out, especially when taking into account the gazillion generic AI stores already out there, are incredibly slim. Let's search for some clip art. It's one of the main digital products most of these videos suggest. As you can see, there are tons of listings, pages upon pages of similar looking clip art. Most of the AI generated listings are done with Midjourney, and that's why everything looks the same. What that means is that your listings have no chance of standing out in this sea of same looking artwork. But let's say that you somehow manage to find a way to stand out. The next problem to solve is the pricing. And from what we can see from all these listings, it's a race to the bottom. A lot of the listings hover around 3 to 5 euros. There are even some that sell for 2 euros or less. Even though these are digital products, so there are no other costs like shipping, we're still talking about extremely low profit margins, especially if we take into account the incredible amount of work that has to go into these products. Even though the artwork is generated by the AI, there's a lot of work that has to go into these listings. I'll go through one of them and it'll be much more obvious then. So, for 2 euros and 54 cents, this collection gives us 24 transparent PNG files. That is a very important detail because the type of deliverable adds an insane amount of work. The channels talking about AI on Etsy usually tell their audience that this step can be automated and that there are one-click solutions from free websites. While we could create transparent files this way, the result won't be even remotely good. At least if we want to sell a product that has some quality standards. So, let's break down what kind of work this digital product would entail. We would have to go through several iterations with Midjourney to get the best looking images. Then we would have to resize to bigger resolutions because Midjourney gives us 1024 by 1024 images. After that, we would have to create the masks for the artwork. And finally, we would have to create the listings and the images that go along with the listing. So that means good text descriptions, metadata, packaging, and uploading everything to Etsy or a third-party service, creating good-looking promo images, etc. Let's now try and figure out what that means time and cost-wise. Let's say that we will do a couple of iterations before we settle on the images we get out of Midjourney. So let's say that we will spend just 10 minutes. It's going to be more than that, but let's go for a low estimate. Then we will have to create the bigger resolutions. This can be batch processed if we're going to use an app like Topaz Gigapixel. Different types of images require different algorithms, so there's some adjustments that need to be done, but let's say that we will skip that part completely and we'll just go full auto mode. And let's say that we will spend just 5 minutes on this process. Now comes the time to create the transparencies for the 24 images. Let's take as an example this relatively clean and easy shape. Here's Photoshop's automated selection. It's not bad, but if we zoom in, there are several parts that the automated process didn't catch, so we need to manually adjust that. This process could easily take 4 minutes or more, but let's say that the person working on these is the god of masking, so they do it in 2 minutes per image. By the way, these videos usually address audiences with zero experience on graphic design, so realistically, the time to do this task would be much more than 2 or even 4 minutes. But let's completely throw logic out of the window. So, 2 minutes by 24 images equals 48 minutes. And now let's say that we will magically create the listing in 10 minutes, creating the promotional images, the text and tags, the zip files, etc. In total, this one clip art collection will take us 73 minutes, and that's the super optimistic scenario. Let's round down to 70 minutes. We're going to sell this for 2.5 euros. If our aim is the minimum wage, let's say 10 euros per hour, we need more than 4 sales just to break even. And that's just one listing. We cannot rely on just 1 or even 10 listings. Etsy works best if we constantly add listings to our shop. This one, for example, has 627 clip arts in total. That is a lot of work, especially if a shop is just starting out. And by the way, the 2.50 euros per listing is not pure profit. There are a lot of fees that we need to take into account. First off, we need to take out the 18 cents that Etsy requires to post a listing. We're now at 2.32. Then we have the 6.5% for the transaction fees and 3% plus 20 cents for the payment processing fee. So if we make one sale, we will actually earn close to 2 euros. It's 1.92, but let's round up to 2. And this doesn't take into account any taxes. So in actuality, we need to make quite a few more sales just to earn minimum wage. That's not as glamorous as these videos suggest, right? The reason we see so many videos about AI and Etsy is because it's a lot more profitable to talk about making an AI business rather than actually creating one. It's relatively easy to estimate how much these channels make, especially if you know how YouTube works. In general, AI content and videos talking about financial topics have some of the highest RPM on YouTube. RPM means revenue per mil, and it's basically what the content creator earns per 1,000 views. I'm going to be conservative and I will assume it's a 6 euro RPM. With most of these channels averaging 600,000 views per month or more, we're talking about AdSense money in the thousands of euros. And after double checking with social analytics tools, it looks like my calculations are accurate. My problem with these videos is that they're selling people an unattainable dream. From the comments, I can see that the majority of the audience is people who have no experience with graphic design or arts in general. It's people who just want to find a side gig or a business that can take them out of a bad financial situation. So they see these videos that promise thousands of dollars per month when in reality they're huge time wasters. especially when in order to create a successful business in such a competitive landscape, they need to have an incredibly good skill set. Of course, it's not bad to experiment with new business ideas and to also fail, but spending so much time for something that almost certainly will fail is probably not the best use of your time. So, if you're watching this video and you're thinking of creating an Etsy store selling AI art, I would highly encourage you to try out something else. Anything other than this is going to be a better use of your time. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.